Hey everybody, welcome back to Omens. I'm your host Ryan, AM Air pronouns, and this is episode 52, all about the planet Mars. And sorry if I'm a little low energy today. My sister decided she'd be nice enough to share her bronchitis, so I'm not running quite on all cylinders. And I might end up clearing my throat a lot or coughing. I'll try to cut as much of it as I can, but yeah, it's fun. Luckily, I've got a very nice immune system that is pretty heavy duty, so I don't get too sick with pretty much everything. So, is what it is. Alright, so anyway, not much, a whole lot of news. I've been picking up the pace on a lot of my Facebook stuff. I still haven't got the website up. And yes, I'm putting this news out because I'm recording this in different than I usually do, because I took my sweet time on actually getting this ready and recorded and stuff. And yeah, recording takes a long time. I might have to just continuously split it up. But anyway, all that aside, I don't have the website up yet. However, I do have my podcasts up and ready to go. So I've finally started uploading stuff on Anchor, so it probably won't reach this one yet. I'm slowly moving them on there, but you can now go find me on Anchor, Spotify, and Google Podcasts at the moment. I have to create an Apple ID again to put them on iTunes, but yeah, you can go start listening to my episodes on in podcast form. That way you don't have to take up your space with watching YouTube videos if you don't need to, if you can't. All right, but all that aside, let's dive into the planet Mars. All right, so the planet Mars, it is the fourth planet from the Sun. It's our next closest neighbor, second after Venus. It is actually the second smallest planet in our solar system. Only Mercury is smaller than Mars. It is half the diameter of Earth. So take Earth and shrink it by about 50%. There's Mars. Actually possibly less than that, because it's only about 15% of Earth's volume. It's about 11% of its mass and only 38% of the gravity. So yeah, it tiny. Mars is actually a very tiny planet, which makes sense because it's also associated with the god of war and warriors' energy and stuff. And if you've ever met a short person, the smaller the person, the bigger ball of aggressive energy they are. So makes sense. Unless they get too tiny, closer to around, like, say, Mercury's size, and then they're a bundle of tricksters, a bundle of pranks. So you see where this, like, it's not just because the planet's red that it's associated with war. That's originally why, but, you know, we can see in the fact that its size, yes, aggressive. Alright, so the internal structure of Mars is currently known to be mostly iron and nickel core with a 16 to 17% sulfur silicate mantle. So basically, as opposed to, like, you know how Earth has like 3 or 4 different layers, as far as we know with Mars, we've only got kind of an approximation of 2 layers, the core and the mantle. The mantle itself, however, it does also, like Earth, have many tectonic plates and volcanoes. However, the planet currently appears to be pretty much dormant. Like, nothing's blowing up right now. The mantle's not. There's no Mars. Well, there's Mars quakes, but they're pretty low. So the mantle itself is rich in silicon, oxygen, iron, and magnesium, aluminum, calcium, and potassium. The average crust thickness is about 50 kilometers or 31 miles, whereas Earth's is about 40 kilometers, or if I can read that, 25 miles deep. So the average thickness. It is seismically active, so we do get Mars quakes. The InSight lander's Mars quakes recordings show that the core is liquid and more than half the radius of Mars, suggesting that it contains lighter elements too, as opposed to just where'd it go? Iron and nickel. Alright, the surface of Mars is pretty terrestrial. It's similar to Earth, except for it's all rock and dust. It's a rocky desert. Parts of the surface have been magnetized. So, like, they'll find layers of dirt that, like, run on. Have you ever seen a magnetic nail polish where you take a magnet and you watch the colors change because all the magnetized parts, the iron in it, like, forms a straight line? That's kind of what Mars' surface looks like, which tells us that it did used to have a magnetosphere. Or, it used to have alternating a polar magnetic field in the past. So kind of like Earth, where our magnetic field churns, and every few billion years or so, it'll, like, the poles will completely swap places. Mars used to have that. So the soil of Mars is very silica rich. It's a pH of about 7.7, which is fairly alkaline, actually. It's about 0.6% salt percolate, which both of those concentrations are toxic to humans. And basically, the soil's too alkaline for it to be nice to us, and also the perchlorate. If I remember correctly, it's basically a type of chlorine, a salt and chlorine. So, not fun. The hydrology of Mars. So, the surface features suggest that there used to be water on the surface. But it was most likely too salty and acidic to support terrestrial life. But due to the low pressure atmosphere, the water migrated to the polar caps and froze. So basically, anytime any of the water, like, kind of melts and liquidizes, it just kind of gets it evaporates real fast, or it gets pushed back. It can't even really melt, just because of the way the atmosphere is. So there is water on Mars, and every Whovian out there is screaming, "Do not drink it." Alright, so the atmosphere of Mars lost its magnetosphere, so the thing that creates the poles, about 4 billion years ago, probably because of asteroid strikes. So solar winds now interact directly with the ionosphere, lowering density by stripping away atoms. So basically, the atmosphere is slowly being eroded because there's no more magnetic sphere because asteroids. It's a whole chain of, it's a domino effect, basically. So the atmosphere is currently about 96% carbon dioxide, so that's definitely not healthy for humans. 1.93% argon and 1.89% nitrogen, and only trace amounts of oxygen and water. It's very dusty, like the entire planet, which we kind of already knew. It just does not support life. Sad for all the early science fiction writers out there that were like, it's quite possible Mars could be our sister planet and there are Martians. No, not likely. They'd have to be any sort of, like, actual sentient life on Mars would be vastly different from our own. We probably couldn't even interact. It'd be so different. So currently Mars is the only planet in the solar system entirely populated by robots, which is fun. Alright, so we have more likelihood of finding life on Venus, and we might be close to doing that. Go back and watch my Venus episode if you want to dig into that a little bit, because I dig into that some. Alright, so the orbit and rotation of Mars, it is about 230 million kilometers, or 143 million miles from the Sun. Its orbital period is 687 Earth days, so about twice as long as, so a year on Mars is about twice as long as a year on Earth. The solar day is 24 hours, 39 minutes, and 35.244 seconds, so a little bit longer than Earth's solar day. So we're seeing a lot of similarities between Earth and Mars. The axial tilt is 25.19 degrees, which is similar to Earth. The orbital eccentricity is 0.09, and only Mercury's orbital eccentricity is larger. Mars' orbital eccentricity is slowly getting larger, which is the closest distance between Earth and Mars will widen over the next 25,000 years. So basically, Mars is slowly getting farther away from us. All right, so Mars does have moons. Its two moons are named Phobos, which means panic and fear, and Deimos, which means terror and dread. And it's named those because those are the sons of Mars, the god of war, in mythology. Um, they are this. They would accompany him to battle, and they would. Yeah, okay. So there's sons of Mars that would accompany him into battle. Panic and fear and terror and dread. Makes sense. You'd want to have that in war. Both the moons are tentatively thought to be asteroid captures, but their actual origin is unknown. Alright, so that is the science of Mars. A fun planet. Interesting planet. I mean, they're all interesting in their own ways. Alright, the astrology of Mars. So when Mars shows up in a natal chart, or what we assign it to, what its meaning is in astrology is it's about energy and what you put it into. How you drive. I love this quote from the one of my astrology books. I forget the name. It's how you drive people crazy and what drives you crazy is what Mars represents. Mars is about drive, courage, war, battle, enthusiasm, and the outgoing. It's the last personal planet. It's the explorer into the outer reaches. So basically, Mars has to do with just action, energy, drive, just getting things done. It's the pioneer. It's the one that's like, it's the last personal planet, which means it's right on the edge of let's go out into the unknown. It's kind of, and if you think about it, because its orbit is slowly getting more eccentric and therefore farther away from Earth, you could almost take that as symbolically meaning that it's slowly reaching into the outer reaches because it wants to explore, wants to widen its territory, wants to know more, go farther out. It has to do with action, leadership, assertion, anger, passion, impatience. It also is our breath, our actual life force. It's the energy that keeps us alive and going, basically. It also has to do with our animalistic nature. It's a very penetrative, passionate. It's full of, it represents our confidence, our power, our sexuality, and our strength. And it also rules over sports competition because those are basically mock wars or mock battles. Yeah, so Mars has to do with just your drive, your energy, your passion. What pisses you off? What drives you crazy? How you drive other people crazy. For example, let me pull up my Mars real fast. Alright, so I've got it pulled up here. So, for example, with Mars, my Mars is in Leo. So, basically, Mars and Leo's people don't just walk into a room. They burst onto the scene and they love the spotlight. Strong in the fire. Mars will is strong in this fire sign. So what's unique about Mars Leo among the Mars fire sign is that it's fixed. So the fire is sustained. So this Mars keeps the inspiration fires burning long enough to see creative expression brought to fruition. People with Mars and Leo have tons of charisma and always make a strong impression. You have great self-confidence and a knack for self-promotion. Just make sure you have the goods to back it up. So basically, and then also, so that's some of the upsides. Basically, my Mars is like, I want to go out there, want to be expressive and creative and just show up everywhere. And that does have its downsides because if I get too big for my britches type deal, it can start to annoy people. So what drives me crazy is when other people are kind of like expressive and overshadowing me, because as we know, Leo is kind of the dramatic center stage type. It's the heart sign. It's the one that just is big and bold and out there. In different ways. Just to put that out there, it's in different ways. So Mars in Leo, Mars is the drive, the energy, the just out there everywhere. So in Leo, it's like the perfect drama actor type deal. So it's both what drives other people crazy when I'm too bold and out there and just trying to steal all the attention, but it also drives me crazy when other people take the attention for themselves, which, yeah, fair enough. I can see this being a thing. Now, adding another layer onto it is also my Mars is actually in my 7th house. And in the 7th house, Mars is very genuine, dynamic, and elegant. However, their challenges they can be argumentative and impulsive. Yeah, a little bit. In the 7th house, we know it tends to relate to interpersonal relationships. It tends to relate to relationships in general of all kinds of work, family, business. Work and business are kind of the same things. I just realized. Friendships, romantic relationships, significant others type deal. Yeah, sexual relations tend to fall a little bit more into Scorpio, but it could be around the same thing. They tend to be creative. They really like being challenged, so keeping their life active is the only way for them to be happy. So basically, you kind of see where I'm getting. Anything that Mars is in this, say if it was in the 2nd house, you'd be very focused on your personal happiness, on money, on goods, on trying to extravagantize your home, basically, your personal space. It's like if Mars was in, for example, Cancer, it's like your focus is on your home, on your home, on the people you care about, on your personal space. And the fire in the water, it might even be a little bit might be a little dramatic, might be a lot of using emotions to get your way type deal. There's both good and bad in everything, and being able to see both the good and bad helps us to understand ourselves and grow better as people. So, but yeah, so that's basically Mars. Mars just energizes everything it's in. It just ramps it up to about 20. All right. So that is the planet Mars. Now we're going to move on to the plant I picked, which is ruled by Mars, and the plant I picked is Snapdragon, which is a very pretty flower. And also, I love like just finding the random stuff and just going, oh, this looks kind of cool. I'll use this one because it sounds kind of cool. And then I go actually dig into it, and it's like, shit, this shit's fascinating. All right, so Snapdragon, specifically Antirrhinum, is a genus of plants commonly called snapdragons or dragon flowers due to their fanciful, quote, resemblance to the face of a dragon that opens and closes its mouth when laterally squeezed. So basically, you take Snapdragon, you kind of squeeze it, and it's like looks like looks like an animal just opening and closing its face, kind of like a dragon, or what we might consider a dragon. All right. It is now this is the fascinating thing. So there are hundreds of different types of snapdragons. You got your purple ones, your red ones, your pink ones, your white ones, your skull flower ones, which are fucking cool looking. However, currently only two species are actually recognized by the United States Department of Agriculture. The plants database, the USDA plants database, A. majus or Antirrhinum majus, which is the garden snapdragon, and A. belladifolium, the lilac snapdragon. Only those two are recognized by the United States Department of Agriculture plants list. These are the plant list as okay, so there's another one. The plant list as of April 2017 recognizes 21 species, and Thomas 1988, I know I've said his full name before in a previous one, placed 36 species in 3 subsections, but those species are all debated as to which subsection they should be into up to today. So USDA only recognizes two snapdragon species, whereas you can get up to at least 36 different species. So it's kind of depending on where you're going for your information. Antirrhinum is derived from the Greek antiri non, which means calf snout, which is derived from the Greek anti, against, or like, and I keep losing my spot. Ris, or nose, bleh, means nose. Thus, possibly meaning nose-like. So basically they're saying the Snapdragon looks like a nose, basically. Which, I mean, it kind of does. Alright, so the ecology of the Snapdragon, it is native to rocky areas of North America, Europe, and North Africa. So 3 different continents, which means it also kind of gets divided into, quote, old world Snapdragons and, quote, new world Snapdragons. Or, well, not really quote, it's literally old world and new world Snapdragons. And they've each got their own subspecies, but they're all grouped into the same genus, which is kind of cool. It tells you they've probably been around a good long while. Or they managed to just make their way across somehow, like, early enough that they've become their own different types. So, Snapdragons are short-lived perennials that survive well in cold seasons, but are often replanted each spring and considered annual. So, if you go in the garden store and you pick up a packet of Snapdragons, it's going to say it's an annual, which means it only lives for about 1 year, and then you got to get new seeds. Even though they are technically perennials, if they're grown out in the wild. They are ecologically diverse, and they're cultivated as a bedding rockery. They're cultivated as either a bedding, a rockery, herbaceous border, or a container plant. They're genetically diverse, and this is the fun thing. Snapdragons has actually been used in genetic studies since the earliest days. Gregor Mendel, who I believe is basically the father of genetic studies, the dude that you learned about in, if I'm remembering this correctly, the dude you learned about in science class with the pea plants and the 4 little squares of genetic diversity. Pretty sure that was Gregor Mendel, and he used Snapdragons too. Actually, no, that doesn't sound quite right. I think it might have been someone else, but I recognize the name Gregor Mendel as like fairly in the far back reaches. So, but anyway, he used Snapdragons. Charles Darwin used Snapdragons, and Aaron Bauer, I think, is a more recent geneticist. Snapdragon has become a model organism for the investigation of the genetic basis of plants, particularly floral development. Particularly floral development. Okay, so the thing I want to add on about that is, come on, what was it? Oh, right. One thing I did read, which I thought was really cool. So, if you think back to your high school science classes and the genetic diversity and stuff, you learned that there were some genes which were recessive. Basically, they were kind of submissive genes. So you had red and a white gene. So red would be submissive gene, and the white would be the dominant gene. Recessive, not submissive, but I mean, same difference. All right, so you'd have the recessive gene and the dominant gene. So basically, if you had a red and a white gene together, the white gene would overcome the red gene, and you'd end up with a white plant. The only way you get a red plant is if you had 2 red genes and no white genes. That's not true in Snapdragons. They don't really have a recessive dominant type deal. If a recessive and a dominant come together, if you get a red gene and a white gene, you're going to end up with a pink Snapdragon. That's really fucking cool. Basically, instead of like one color overcoming the other, they're just going to mix, which I think is really fucking cool. Yeah, it's the fun things you learn about when you actually just like pick a random plant and go learn about it. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fascinating. Alright, but yeah, I just had to throw that in there because that's just so freaking cool. Alright, so the uses for Snapdragons, pretty much just cut flowers, is all they're really used for. They're just pretty decorative flowers. The seeds have been used to extract edible oils, particularly in Russia. The leaves and the flowers have been considered to possess anti-inflammatory properties and have been used in poultices. Take it with a grain of salt. There's way more other plants you could use for anti-inflammatory besides Snapdragon, especially since, from what I could find, it's really not been studied at all. So, at this rate, it's pretty much just folklore, which, don't get me wrong, does have some merits, but I'm not going to advertise it, especially not on a public platform. And like I said, there's many more things that not only have studies that are more well known to have these anti-inflammatory properties that actually do have scientific studies behind them. So if it hasn't actually been studied in the science community, maybe pass on it unless you are actually getting it passed down to you from an actual herb user. But yeah, that's always my disclaimer. This is not medical advice and should never ever be taken as medical advice. At all. I just find this stuff on the internet. Mostly. Alright, so the other big use for snapdragons is to make a green dye from the flowers. So apparently no matter which snapdragon, if you use it for dye, it's going to turn green, from what I could tell. And some gold ones, I think. Snapdragons are also edible, though they're kind of bland to bitter tasting, so it's kind of like you could eat it, but why? They're usually mostly used for decorative arrangements decorative edible arrangements on food, basically. So they're edible, but they don't taste the greatest, so meh. It's like, go eat a nasturtium. That tastes really good. Those are nice and spicy. I'm pretty sure that's a nasturtium. Double check on that before you actually go eat a nasturtium, because it's been a few years. Alright, so metaphysical properties for snapdragons are strength, deviousness, grace, grace under pressure. It's used for a charm against falsehoods. Basically, if you wear it around your neck or you carry it in a pocket or whatever, you can people won't lie to you as much. Type deal. It's just a charm against falsehoods being told to you or you falling for them, I guess. In the language of flowers, if somebody gives you a snapdragon, it means truth-telling. So the Victorian language of flowers. So that's why it was kind of popular in Europe at the time, in Victorian England. The European folklore says that stepping on a snapdragon had the power to break evil spells, which is kind of cool. According to Cunningham, snapdragons are associated with Mars and the element of fire, and their keyword is protection. So wearing Snapdragon prevents people from deceiving you. Seed on a necklace prevents bewitchment. And if you're outside and you feel evil nearby, step on or hold a flower of a snapdragon. Either step on a snapdragon or pick a flower and hold it. A vase of fresh snapdragons when performing protective rituals placed... So basically when you perform protective rituals, put a vase full of snapdragons on your altar. If you feel like there's a curse on you or you've got some evil magic, or if you can feel like some evil coming from somebody, place a vase of snapdragons on your altar and place a mirror behind it, and so that it sends back that negativity and evil. So Snapdragon is basically very, very highly protective, stoic, and it's definitely good for repelling evil and negativity, and for basically keeping people from deceiving you. Is the two main ones: falsehoods and protection from evil. Those are the two big constant, found them in multiple places type deal. All the others is kind of there's a little grace under pressure is from one source, and then putting them on the mirror, putting them on an altar, or putting them while you're performing protective rituals, those are also just kind of from Cunningham, but pretty much protection from evil and negativity in a multitude of ways, and keeping people from deceiving you when you carry it. And then, of course, if you feel evil, stepping on a snapdragon outside and standing on it until you feel the evil pass type deal. Those three are the big three that I saw in multiple places. So So I'd rely on those, and then do your own work with Snapdragon. Like, see what it speaks to you. If you feel called to go work with it, go talk to it. I'd also throw in there, just because they're so genetically diverse and able to, basically able to adapt so easily, I'd throw that in there a little bit with the magic. It's just, I don't know, it just feels kind of right for me, as like to work with diversity and diverging in equal parts type deal. Alright, so that is Snapdragon, and now we're going to move on to our stone for the week, well, for the month, which is fire agate. Which you think fire agate would have to do with fire. No, it's actually related. Its element is actually earth. Alright, so fire agate is a variety of chalcedony, which is a form of quartz. It's also got inclusions of geothite or limonite, and the chemical makeup of fire agate is silicon dioxide. So 1 silicon atom and 2 oxygen atoms. Its crystal structure system is triagonal monoclinic, which, if you know what that means, good for you. I looked at the Wikipedia page, and my eyes don't often glaze over at scientific stuff, but my eyes kind of glazed over. Also, I was running out of time to really look at it, so if you want to look it up, cool. If it holds some sort of meaning. It's got a 2.59 to a 2.61 specific gravity, and it's a 6 to 7 on the Mohs hardness scale. And fire agate was formed approximately 24 to 36 million years ago during volcanic activity in the Tertiary period, when hot water, which was saturated in silica and iron oxide, repeatedly filled cracks and bubbles in surrounding rock. So when you see a piece of raw fire agate that's got all the rock cleaned off, usually it looks like melted wax, like bubbles everywhere. That's because it was water that was silica and iron oxide, and it just kind of filled cracks and bubbles, and it just like formed this. It's often seen like raw as a really waxy looking rock. It's very waxy looking. It polishes up like really beautiful glassy reflective surface. Fire agate is only found in central and northern Mexico and southwest U.S., basically Arizona, New Mexico, and I think Texas. Let me look at my notes here. No, Arizona, New Mexico, and California. It is only found in that southwest region of the U.S. and the northern central Mexico region only, which, that's always fun. It is typically translucent, iridescent, and layered structure. Its base color is brown or red-brown, with flashes of orange, red, yellow, blue, green, or gold within it. So that's the striations of the geothite and limonite, basically. So basically its base, that brown, red-brown, that's the iron oxide, which is basically iron and oxygen, aka rusted iron, which red-brown. Yeah, and silicone. Or silica. Okay, so that is fire agate, and I'm not as deep in that because actually I asked my sister to do the research on this, because this past week was heavy, filled with way more than I expected to be filled with, so didn't have time for stuff, so I didn't actually dig in and find all the little interesting factoids on this one like I have before, but it's still pretty cool. Alright, so the metaphysical associations. Fire agate is associated astrologically with all the fire signs, obviously. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Fair enough. It is also associated with Gemini, which an air sign, Capricorn, and Cancer. So we got 1 cardinal, 2 mutables, and 3 fixed signs, basically. So it's very fixed energy, and again, like I said, its element is actually earth, not fire. And it's good, so it's a very grounded, heavy-duty stone. my sister, I let her do this, and she's like getting passionate into it. I was like, you want to do this more often? And she's like, maybe. Because she's really into crystals, so foisting this out, one, that helps me with my research, and two, gives her some more, gets her some more incentive to actually really dig into some of this stuff. Alright, but yeah, so basically she was like explaining to me, she's like, it's really good, it's really heavy energy, it's really heavy, earthy, grounded energy. It's really not all that fiery. It's kind of like Mars and Leo, like my Mars and Leo, where it's like, it's fixed fire, so it will last for a very long time. It is very good for deep shadow work, as it aids in personal transformation and growth. So it's like, if you're really getting into the depths there and you need a helping hand to come along with you, take some fire agate. It is spiritually grounding, inspiring, and encouraging. So again, good for personal work, because it's like, yeah, this is some heavy, especially if you're going into shadow work, which I think a lot of people are currently. Is you want some encouragement. You want some, like, feet on the ground, that hand holding the rope as you fall down there, like holding their fire agate could be that steady, like holding that rope, feet against the rock, like, I'm not going to let you fall, I'm not going to let you, and if at some point it gets too much to just to be too much, I'll pull you back up, set your feet on the ground type deal. And it's inspiring and encouraging. It's like that buddy you want to go along with you. Like, you going down in there? Okay, I'll hold the rope. I'll get you back up here. Emotionally, it's good. It helps you. It's good for passion. It's very passionate, joyful, and fiercely protective. So again, which gives me that image of a little bit of a mama bear type deal, or actually, I still got that image of that buddy holding that rope while you're going down somewhere scary type deal. Like, it's okay, we got this. We're gonna keep this steady, keep this strong type deal. And also inspiring you, giving you encouragement and joy. Mentally, it helps encourage independent thinking, stamina, creativity, and helps to repel negativity. Physically, it's good for helping with your vitality and to increase digestion and to assist with the central nervous system and the eyes. So, very much I really get that image of that encourager, that strong rock at your back, encouraging you to, like, what I'm thinking of, like when you're at a gym, you got the trainer, like a trainer. The trainer that's just sitting there like, no, you got this, you can do this, we're gonna get through this type deal. That's kind of the energy that's kind of the image I'm getting of fire agate, is just kind of a trainer, somebody who's just there to really just push you and help you along and encourage you, and it's really good energy. And with that, we are finished with our astrology plant and stone of the month. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. I hope y'all check me out on the podcast apps. Like I said, Anchor, Spotify, and Google Podcasts right now. Hopefully we'll get that moving up some more. I'm trying to upload episodes at a fairly good rate. Like, whenever I get a chance, I load up one or two. Because I'm going to try to upload them at a pretty steady pace up until I get caught up, and then they'll come out at the same time that I put the YouTube videos out. Alright, so check that out. Find me on Facebook. I'm trying to push myself trying to find time to actually set up a website here soon enough. We'll see how that goes. Might take a little bit longer than I'd like it to, but it is what it is. Alright, so you can find me on Facebook still, getting a lot done there, starting to really put up articles, posts, and whatnot. The card of the day is going awesome. I'm doing more stuff with it. Alright. And then, of course, you can always like, comment, and subscribe here on YouTube. I always enjoy getting comments. And you can, if you got any like deeper questions, want to get a reading of some sort, email me at OwlFoxOmens@gmail.com. Alright, so that is it for this week. Hope y'all have a great rest of your whatever, and I will see you next week. Alright, bye.